Your heart didn't break. It didn't suddenly fall apart one morning. It didn't collapse because of one bad moment, one disappointment, one painful conversation. It broke quietly, after years of holding too much, after seasons of being strong, being patient, being the one who always understands. Your heart didn't break. It reached its limit. And the truth is, you weren't weak. You weren't dramatic. You weren't too emotional. You were running on empty. You were pouring from a place that hadn't been refilled in a very long time. And tonight, we're going to talk about the kind of breaking that happens silently, the kind no one sees, but the kind that changes everything. You didn't notice when it started. Emotional breaking rarely happens loudly. It begins in the smallest ways. The sigh you didn't mean to let out. The moment you paused before saying, "I'm fine." The night you stayed awake even though you were exhausted. The tears you wiped before anyone could see. It starts when your heart begins whispering, "I can't hold this anymore." But you're so used to surviving that you learn to silence the whisper. You tell yourself, "It's not that bad. I just need to push a little more. People depend on me." And slowly, without realizing it, you start carrying emotions that are too heavy, responsibilities that aren't yours, and heartbreaks you never fully healed. You don't break in one moment. You break over time, until one day your heart finally says, "Enough." And that moment is both terrifying and freeing. 1. You reached your limit because you never had space to feel. Some people break often, but gently. But people like you, the strong ones, the responsible ones, the ones who carry everything silently. You break only when your heart can no longer survive without being heard. You reached your limit because you spent years being the stable one, the one who calms storms, the one who holds everyone together. But who held you? You were taught to be tough, to keep going, to swallow your emotions because others had it worse, to never burden anyone. So instead of expressing, you suppressed. Instead of asking for help, you became stronger. Instead of resting, you pushed harder. You didn't reach your limit because you were weak. You reached it because you never had the chance to be human. Your heart didn't break from one wound. It cracked under the weight of every unspoken feeling you never had permission to release. 2. The signs your heart was slipping toward its limit. Long before the breaking, your heart tried to warn you through small, subtle signals. You felt tired even after resting. You felt disconnected from things that once made you smile. You felt overwhelmed by tiny inconveniences. You isolated yourself without meaning to. You snapped at people for things that never bothered you before. You felt misunderstood even in a room full of people. These were not flaws. They were alarms. Your heart was saying, "I'm drowning here. I can't keep pretending. I need space to breathe." But because you were used to being the strong one, you interpreted these signals as weaknesses, as something to hide. So you pushed harder. You forced yourself to smile. You convinced everyone you were okay. And no one noticed you were slowly falling apart. Not even you. 3. Breaking happens in silence. People think breaking is dramatic. Tears, screaming, collapsing. But the strongest people break quietly. You break in the car on your way home. You break in the shower where the water hides your tears. You break lying in bed staring at the ceiling, pretending sleep will save you. You break in small, invisible ways that the world never sees, because you learned that vulnerability is unsafe. You learned that if you fall apart, everything around you might fall too. So you break behind closed doors. You break with a hand over your mouth so no one hears. You break in the same heart that once believed it could carry anything. Your silence isn't strength, it's exhaustion. It's a heart that has endured too much for too long. And when it finally breaks, it's not an explosion. It's a release, a surrender, a moment where your heart collapses from the weight of years. 4. The real reason. Your heart reached its limit. Your heart didn't break because life was cruel or people were unkind. It broke because you ignored your emotional capacity, because you kept showing up even when you were empty, because you kept choosing people who took but didn't pour back, because you believed your needs were too much, because you tried to heal others while quietly hemorrhaging inside. You reached your limit because somewhere along the way, you learned that your pain was less important than keeping the peace. You learned to endure, to overfunction, to put everyone else first. But your heart is not a machine. It is a living organism that needs gentleness, rest, validation. You didn't break suddenly. You broke because you forgot you were allowed to feel. And your heart finally demanded what you've denied it for years, a moment to collapse, so it can start again. 5. Breaking is not failing. It's resetting. Breaking is not the end. It's the beginning. When something breaks, it loses the shape that hurt it. It sheds what's no longer sustainable. It creates space for rebuilding. Your heart didn't break to punish you. It broke to free you from pretending, to free you from overfunctioning, to free you from relationships where your worth was measured by your usefulness, to free you from survival mode, to free you from carrying emotions that were never yours. Your breaking is an invitation to rest, to soften, to feel again. It is your heart's way of saying, I cannot keep living like this. And when you listen, truly listen, you begin to heal from the inside out. 6. What healing looks like after the breaking. Healing is not dramatic. It's subtle, quiet, almost invisible. It looks like saying no without apologizing, resting without guilt, crying without shame, choosing softness instead of survival, outgrowing people who drain you. Giving your heart the care you once begged others for healing is reclaiming the parts of you you abandoned to stay strong. It's learning that you are allowed to be held, to be supported, to be vulnerable. Healing is not becoming stronger. It's becoming softer in a world that taught you hardness. One day, you'll wake up and your heart won't feel like a battlefield. It will feel like a home again. Your heart didn't break. It told the truth. Your heart didn't break because you failed. It broke because you finally reached the point where honesty became louder than endurance. Your heart said, I am hurting. I am tired. I cannot keep holding everything. And for the first time in a long time, you listened. Breaking wasn't your ending. It was your awakening. From this moment forward, you don't have to be the strong one all the time. You don't have to carry more than you can hold. You don't have to silence your needs. Your heart reached its limit so you could finally choose yourself. And that choice, that quiet, powerful choice, is where healing truly begins.